Welcome to Vu PhD. I'm a psychologist here in Maroubra, Sydney, Australia. And I wanted to talk a little bit about one of my earlier blog posts, which is the theme of the cost of suffering. Now, as I'm working with clients, there's always a line that always strikes me. I just wished I'd done this sooner. And it always strikes me. It strikes me because there's a part of me that sort of understands that as, well, I wished I didn't have to suffer as long as I did until I decided to make a change. And for some people who can't engage in therapy, the thoughts that they have is that they can't afford it or they can't absorb the costs of it. And sometimes it's worth challenging that, because sometimes it's not can't, it's more that I don't want to absorb it. So here's an example. In terms of can't and want of the ability to for therapy. So let's say I get a lot of gamblers as well, and so let's say if you have a gambling problem and you're spending about $500 a week, which isn't uncommon if you do have a problem, and let's say that therapy is effective. So 10 sessions in, and you find yourself no longer gambling. Now, just in this simple scenario, if this same person waited 6 months before they started therapy, it would have costed them $12,000 for that delay. Now that's interesting. Therapy is actually much less than the $500 that you spend a week on the gambling problem. But we also see the cost of delaying recovery. And those costs are very real, and those are just financial costs, not to mention the cost, the emotional costs, the physical costs of not trying to solve that really difficult problem that's been weighing on you. Sometimes it's worthwhile thinking about, if you're thinking about therapy, is that, well, how much suffering are you going to avoid if you make positive steps towards eliminating or alleviating the problem, and you start living the life that you really want to live. And it's quite fascinating, because now we're looking at how much suffering you want to avoid versus how much suffering that would necessarily be the case if you don't make forward progress. So that's just something that to take home, to have a think about, because how much of this can't absorb is really don't want to absorb, and how much is it truly costing you. So other than that, I hope that's been helpful. If you like what you see here, please feel free to like and subscribe and share. You can always reach me at luke@vuphd.com.au, and you can always visit my site for some extra skills and tips that you might find helpful. So that's it. Happy recovery.